It goes without saying that we need to have a serious conversation about bird flu. It has now traveled the world, scared governments, the public, and farmers. Although extremely rare, it has been transmitted to humans on 964 occasions and caused death in 466 of those victims, giving it a 50% mortality rate. The sad truth is that this flu, H5N1, has become not only a pandemic, but out of control in all manner of speaking. Once again, governments have been at the mercy of not having enough information as to how to combat this crisis. There are a few courses of action, but the main method of controlling this virus is stamping out. The unfortunate truth is that this only protects the wild bird population from contracting the virus and transferring it from one farm to another. That same wild bird most likely already possesses the virus, doesn't require protection from a domesticated bird, and would have been the cause of the spread in the first place, with or without the farm. A similar situation exists with rabies, also known as Lyssa. Rabies has a 100% mortality rate in animals it manages to infect. The stamping out method was attempted on multiple occasions, but to date has always proven to be ineffective. The only effective method to date that stops rabies from spreading is to drop inoculated food into an area that the wildlife can eat, again giving its immune system a protective measure to combat the virus. With that said, stamping out may have seemed like a good measure at first, and early on might have shown positive results. But after hundreds of millions of chickens and other poultry have been killed, it is quite obvious that this method is no longer of any use to prevent the spread of bird flu. In the case of chickens, they are grown from an egg and end up on your plate in less than 30 days. Chickens have been overly genetically modified, have extremely weak immune systems, and to be blunt, aren't alive long enough, to put it coldly, care about. Turkeys, on the other hand, require 18 to 35 weeks to grow, depending on their desired nutritional purpose. They also suffer from the same genetic issues, and therefore weakened immune system as chickens. Another type of bird that has made the news lately is the ostrich. Within a farm setting, they are classed as poultry. This classification leaves them open to the same cold treatment by governing bodies as chickens or turkeys. There are major differences in ostriches that are not present in smaller birds. Ostriches have considerably longer lifespans, 30 to 40 years in the wild and 50 to 70 years in captivity. Not present is genetic modification, which has not left them with weakened immune systems. There are considerably more cells in the body of an ostrich, which makes it far more difficult for the virus to take hold. This means that, similar to humans, not all viruses are lethal, as the virus has to infect far more cells before their immune system shuts it down. If their immune system can react swiftly and forcefully enough, they will show symptoms but ultimately overcome the virus and return to normal health. An ostrich farm in Edgewood, British Columbia, has been fighting to prove this fact for almost a year now. Of the 400 ostriches they had in 2024, 69 have succumbed to bird flu, but the rest showing excellent signs of health 10 months after the viral event. In December 2024, a cull order was issued by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. That still stands today. Repeated pleas of the farmers have managed to prevent the culling of the remaining 330 ostriches, some of them 25 to 35 years old. Recently, a stay has been granted by the Supreme Court of Canada. In that order, the ostriches are to be cared for by the CFIA. The CFIA also has control of the farm by way of the RCMP and has conducted itself in a manner that is not conducive to best practices. Evidence of animal cruelty, destruction of property, and manipulation have been perpetrated by employees of the CFIA. The CFIA has refused to allow anyone to test the flock since the virus was found. In only 2 of the deceased ostriches in 2024. Not a single human case has been linked to the farm, even though the farmers, RCMP, CFIA employees, and public have been in direct contact with the ostriches. The ostriches are obviously in no way a threat to human health. The CFIA vehemently disagrees. The fate of the ostriches is now in the hands of the Supreme Court of Canada. The government of Canada has completely lost control of the CFIA and should review the effectiveness and practice that it follows in regard to how it operates. Something is seriously wrong when an agency operates autonomously, without oversight, and without reason. Such complete disregard for life cannot stand when that same agency chooses to operate under false pretenses, without proper information, and remains rigid in which manner it chooses to conduct itself. Thank you for listening to my take on this issue.